Yo, I mean, intros always feel weird to do in these videos, so I'm just not even gonna do one. Like, you're just getting a yo. But anyway, hold on, let me start the music. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about like win conditions in games, just in general, which basically what I mean by that is what a win condition really means, how to make it reliable, and how to play slash work towards a win condition. I think it's easier to start off with this in examples like a card game, but I can go into League of Legends after this. So, yeah. I guess, firstly, I'll start with a real deck. So, I think a good example. Hold on, let me explain this game first, I guess. The main. So, the way this game works is you and your opponent's nexuses, your health, both have 20 health, and whoever's gets reduced to 0 first loses. And you alternate turns, and you start with 4 cards in your hand out of a deck list of 40. When I say you alternate turns, that means you alternate who attacks said turn. So if I attack on turn 1, then my opponent attacks on turn 2. And basically on turn 1, you get 1 mana, turn 2 you get 2 mana, turn 3 you get 3 mana. But your extra mana going up to 3 gets pooled into your spell mana, which you can use on any turn to work towards a spell. But only spells. Anyway, that's kind of just the basis of the game. And I guess an example I'll give for this video would be, or the first thing I can give as an example would probably be this deck. So it's called Heimer Shurima. Obviously you can see that. And the way that this deck is meant to play out is basically you mulligan, aka draw a bunch of times for your Heimerdinger, which is why I have a card like Zonite Urchin, a 1 cost, because it's good to have it as a unit, because when it's a unit that helps cycle through your deck, it also lets you live while you can't play your win condition. So it's a stalling tool as well as a card to search through your deck and look for Heimerdinger, which is basically like working towards the win condition. And then here's a 0 cost. It either kills an ally or destroys a mana gem, which sets me down in mana to my opponent, but it'll draw me Heimerdinger because he's the only champion I have in this deck. And this card is only really used once I have Heimerdinger down. Another monster that helps mulligan my deck for Heimerdinger, another card that mulligans the deck for Heimerdinger. This card's kind of just all-purpose. It can end the game. I can hit their Nexus with it. This is for mostly Heimerdinger if I find him. Mostly Heimerdinger. But let's get to why Heimerdinger is such a win condition. This is also a kind of win condition in its own, because Heimerdinger can create a lot of cards, which, it's still used with Heimerdinger, but can make me win a little faster once I get it. It also is a good blocker for elusives if I need that. Elusives can only block elusives, which is what brings me to the Heimerdinger strategy. So, Heimerdinger isn't really able to be played as a win condition unless you play a bunch of 6-cost spells. So, the way Heimerdinger works is when you cast a spell, he'll make an equal cost turret that costs 0 in your hand. Fleeting just means if you don't play it by the end of the turn, it'll go away. But anyway, so the idea is to play 6-cost cards, or spells, when Heimer's on the board, play elusives, and just hit their Nexus without them being able to defend. Another good thing, though, is since I have so many other spells in order to mulligan and such, I can stall fairly well for these 6-cost cards while I have Heimer on the board. So it kind of goes hand in hand with I'm stalling to look for a Heimerdinger, but Heimerdinger helps stall for this if I need to. But most of the time, I'll draw one of these 6-cost cards by the time I get Heimerdinger. And by the time I get Heimerdinger in a 6-cost spell, most of the time, I'm too far ahead to where the opponent can't really react. So yeah, basically this one's just to stall the opponent while searching through your deck until you can get Heimerdinger in 6-cost spell and then just end the game. Anyway, next. This deck's not very good, but let's just go to this deck next. It's also very old, but I mean, I don't think that matters. The point of this deck is to stall and search for until I can play the Dreadway on 8, which doubles all damage I deal in total, basically. And then play Captain Ledros on 9, which does half of their Nexus's health. So if I play Dreadway on 8 and Ledros on 9, that's just their entire health bar, their Nexus. So I just win. But it's very hard to stall towards those turns. So I have tools that, for example, remove units from the board while also healing my Nexus. And these are spells, so I can play them earlier than units, and they're just used to mainly just keep my health healthy enough to stall for these units. That's why there's a lifesteal unit. It's also good to have units, because I need to block damage as well. So yeah, and then this is just a good stall card in general as well, if I need to. Like if it's turn 7, and I have both components in my hand, I can just Ruination with my spell mana and the turn 7 mana, maybe? But yeah, like Glimpse Beyond, help mulligan through my deck, look for those cards. Elise is really good for stalling, because she's a fearsome, you kind of have to deal with her, and she spawns extra units. Hapless Aristocrat, blocks once, dies, and then blocks again. Yeah, I mean, this card can help get rid of problems on the enemy's board. Usually it doesn't work that well, but I mean, like I said, it's an old deck. This card drains health from the enemy Nexus. Not very useful. This card obliterates an enemy with less health. So yeah, I mean, I don't need to really go through all the cards, I guess. But anyway, I mean, I think you get the point. Like, you need to make sure you have a win condition, and you need to make sure you have a way to get towards the win condition. Now, another thing that I have not mentioned is, I guess, like, a win condition. I don't have an example really in a deck here. Let's just go to the cards then. So a win condition, it's reducing the enemy Nexus to 20 health, right? But I mean, to 0 health, but there's cards like Fiora. When I've killed 4 enemies and survived, you win the game. That's obviously an alternate win condition, and you just want to keep Fiora alive. But another example of a win condition, I guess, would be kind of like outvaluing your opponent, per se. So, I guess Braum's a pretty good example of this. Like, Braum kinda, if you can get attack on Braum, he can kinda, since he has regeneration, he'll just heal after every round, so he can usually take good trades with enemy units. And basically what that means is, if you can just keep your cards alive longer than your opponent can keep their cards alive, you can maybe make the enemy run out of steam, per se, before you do. So you can just have more units. So, I mean, that's also a strategy. I guess another good example of that would kind of just be like the Fated synergy in general. But yeah, okay. I think that's all the examples I'll use in Legends of Runeterra. So yeah. And then I guess the next example, is there like, I've probably done this before, but okay, we'll do this. Okay, wait, this is not. Okay, here we go. We can ignore the bans. Let's just say a team picks. Okay, it doesn't really matter that much, does it? Aatrox. Aatrox. Renata. Nocturne. Malzahar, and Kog'Maw. Okay. Let's say a team picks this. Now, how are your ways to win this as red team, I guess, is what I'm asking. And the first thing you look at is who's going to be dealing most of the damage, which against blue team is going to be Kog'Maw, mostly, but all three of their topside champs can also deal damage if they get ahead, and that's why applying this to League of Legends is tricky, because you're obviously not playing all 5 characters. So, I mean, you can get the questionable Kha'Zix top, and he just dies to this Aatrox 10 times. Well, I guess we just lose pretty much. Or, let's say Kha'Zix top dies to Aatrox 10 times, and then you have, okay, why did the junglers look invisible while I'm doing this? Morgana jungle's actually a thing. We'll say Morgana jungle, and then you have, I guess, Veigar. Okay, then we have, I guess, let's say, like for the argument, a Vayne with 6 kills, and your support is Lulu. Okay, so how do these two teams play into each other? 10-0 Aatrox, 6-0 Vayne. Let's just say the farm and the gold are equal, but Vayne will obviously be like a level or 2 or 3 down, just by the nature of bot lane versus top lane. And so the way this plays out is it's the job of the Malzahar and the Nocturne to kill the Vayne, while it's the job of Lulu, Morgana, and Veigar to keep the Vayne alive. Kha'Zix, I guess, can keep her alive with Evolve W. Kha'Zix is kind of worthless, though, this game, considering he's 10-0. Or 0-10. Kog'Maw's inting and Renata's inting, but they can still deal damage. So what does the Vayne got to do in this team? Who does she focus? Does she focus whoever's in front of her? Does she focus the Aatrox? I say in this situation, it's almost always Vayne just has to target whoever's in front of her, front to back. But that'll almost always be the Aatrox or the Nocturne who will pose the biggest threat to her. But she also needs a QSS for Malzahar ult, because if she just gets Malzahar ulted, she'll probably just die. Unless Lulu builds Mikhail's, which I think works on Malzahar ult. But anyway, so the example here is, we don't know who wins. It's how the teams play together. But they both have a win condition. I mean, a win condition for any team can just be like, okay, Aatrox, Malzahar, Kog'Maw, and Renata all one lane. Blue team wins. Or it can be Veigar has 10 kills in lane phase and kills everyone with R. Okay? I guess that's just the game. So that's why, I mean, in solo queue, it's kind of hard to expect what's going to happen, considering it always just comes down to player skill versus player skill. But in an equal world, how can we optimize win conditions and playing around them? So, with that as an idea, is there a way to delete these? With that as an idea of playing around win conditions, let's try and optimize a draft for it. Okay, so let's first pick, we'll say no bans for the sake of this argument, but let's do 1, 2, 3, yeah, okay. So let's just say blue. First pick's Cho'Gath. I think Cho'Gath's pretty good just because of his flexibility in the game still. Let's just go like a perfect scenario draft. Like, this is like, I think, the best drafts you can make with no bans at all and perfect players. So we get Cho'Gath on 1, and then here we'll probably get, I mean, people like to pick their bot laners first, but I think a good pick here would be Morgana, as she's flexible in the jungle, mid, and support right now. And then we want to pick another flexible champ, so I was looking at Karma, but I'll say Tristana. Tristana's pretty good right now because she can go mid and bot as well. Okay, so they pick Morgana, Tristana. You don't know where any of these champs are going right now because they're all flexible. Now we pick 2 for this. We have a front line, but we need a little more front line and a little more CC because Cho'Gath can't really CC without another person hitting easier CC. So let's pick Jarvan. Now we know where Jarvan's going to go because he can really only be played in the jungle. But that's fine because we weren't going to flex Cho'Gath in the jungle anyway. And then next, let's just lock in the win condition I guess we want to play around. Gangplank. Gangplank does plenty of damage. He's a fine win condition. Now, your red team, you see this. What do you do? Well, let's think champs that are good versus these champs. It doesn't necessarily matter what we have as pick 1 and pick 2. I mean, it does. But let's pick a champ that's good versus these 3 and fits our theme. So instantly my mind goes to Camille. Gwen's another great option here. Other good options. I think Jax is that good because I think he kind of gets shut down by Cho'Gath. Other good options is, I mean, pick Ornn. We can just throw a champion that we don't want to lane versus Cho'Gath or Gangplank because Gangplank can go mid or top right now and Cho'Gath can go mid or top right now. So we don't really know still. I mean, by picking Morgana, it kind of rules out Cho'Gath being able to flex support unless said like otherwise, I guess. I don't know. So we do the other bans. Obviously, we're not doing bans. So let's pick. We have damage, but we need a little more damage. And most likely it's got to be magic, but it's not actually guaranteed that it has to be magic. My brain's kind of farting right here. I want to say there's a way that we pick like a almost like Gragas top, and then we send Cho'Gath ADC with a Senna, because Gragas looks like a support right here. So it looks like Gragas support, and then we're gonna pick a AD champ, which works, I think. So I think we'll go with Gragas here, with the idea of that. So if we're red team here, we still need a carry. We have mid lane, top lane, or we have mid lane, jungle, and ADC open for picks. So we see Gragas, we see, okay, wow, 4 melee champs. That's what we see. What's a champ that would be good versus 4 melee champs that also can carry? Swain. I mean, Swain's a decent champ. By decent, I mean very good champ versus 4 melee. Zeri, also a very good champ versus 4 melee, because they can almost never catch her. These champs don't have reliable CC for Zeri, because she can just E out of Jarvan ult or Flash. And you may be thinking Flash is on a 300-second cooldown, but 5 minutes. But if she flashes out of it once, I mean, that's like the whole fight, and that's such a lead that next time she might be able to just win anyway. So let's say, I think I like Zeri here more than Swain, but that does lock in that it's going to be Tristana mid. Okay, so here, like we said, we'll just pick... Oh, wait. red picks last year. So now we have jungle or support open. Do you want to lock in a support or a jungler here? Well, since they're all melee, Ekram's, I think, a really good pick here because it gives us more frontline, which we need. Gives us CC, and it's just, I think, a good pick here, like, in general. And then, like I said, in blue team, we can go Senna. So, once this all gets said and done, it's going to be, this is going to be how it looks like. TP likes, so it looks like this. This is how the draft ended up playing out. And, I mean, Gragas mid's questionable. I don't think any pro team will ever pick Gragas mid. So I guess I'd just have to say it's Gragas top for the sake of the argument, even though Gragas mid is a better matchup here if everyone's allowed to play every champ well. So yeah. Basically, does this work on this? Oh shoot, I didn't even see this. Okay. Okay, well this eraser sucks. Anyway, we'll just... Oh, there we go. Okay. I got it. So the goal of this team, Gangplank, kills Tristana, Zeri. This team, red team, has no damage. The goal of... Oh, what did I do? The goal of red team, kill Gangplank, kill Senna. So I think blue team overall has a way better draft here. But the way it could play out is Zeri gets a lead, Ornn gives her an ornament, Zeri has block shield, Zeri has decent frontline champs, Zeri just kills everything. Tristana basically just needs to be a secondary threat, because if the blue team uses everything to kill Zeri, then Tristana can just kill everyone. That's just kind of how it works. So these are equal drafts, I'd say. I'd say the blue team baby is favored a little bit, but in terms of just fairness and everything, we have 2 win conditions on each team. We have 3 supporting champs on each team, except I almost want to say Gragas is not a win condition. He's kind of like an anti... Oh my, why is it still going? He's like an anti-enemy win condition. So Gragas can deal with these champs if they're in a vacuum, but Morgana counteracts that. So Gragas is just here for the CC, basically. So yeah, 3 supporting champs. Okay, why does this work like this? It's like you click. Okay, it's not just working now, whatever. So 2 carries, 3 supporting champs, 3 supporting champs, 2 carries. And the goal of a supporting champ can either be to deal with the enemy carry. Now, if some champ deals with the enemy carry, does that make your character the carry? No, it makes you supporting your team, I'd say. Even if you deal with the enemy carry, because you carried that fight, per se, but you're not reliable enough for that to happen consistently. So, basically, the goal here is to just make sure every team has a win condition. So when you're picking for your team, think, do I need to be physical or magic damage? What works well into the enemy team completely? What can I escape lane phase with? Because if you don't escape lane phase, doesn't matter how good you do versus the enemy team. And what works well with my team? So, I mean, here we have all dive champs, pretty much all engage. Ornn shoots his R in, and then they can all kind of aggress, and Morgana always just kind of, she can build Shirelias and kind of just go in with. And then here we kind of have more of a standard ground team front to backage. Want to position at an objective before the enemy team, and you want to just fight them there. You just want to defend it almost, and wait for them to move into you with, and just use Senna's range to hit them, basically. So, yeah. maybe look for a flank up with Jarvan and Gragas, either one of them, to take advantage of fight. So yeah, I guess that's all I really wanted to talk about. Just thanks for watching.